you have, of course, my mom who was there when I had to make the call to her and say, "Hey, mom, I'm quitting my amazing job on Madison Avenue."
Right.
Right. To make an Olympic team, I know I haven't run in 4 years, but don't worry about it. I got it. But also, mom, I've been living in New York City and I definitely am not saving. I'm 22 and not doing the right things or the best things to make sure that if I want to quit my job, that I have money saved up to do that. So I need your support there too.
Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome to the Christyn Show. Today, this is big time. We have a special guest. She is Black history and American history in the flesh. She's a mom, a wife, executive, Olympic athlete, a humanitarian, a mentor, a coach, and so much more. Welcome our guest, Mechelle Lewis Freeman. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for
You're
getting through
welcome.
that long bio I sent
Right.
you.
Right. You're so awesome. It's so much and it's not that long. I know you have so much more to talk about. Tell us a little bit more. Brag on yourself about what you
Well,
got going on and what's to come.
I mean, well, as you age, the paragraph gets longer and longer and
Right.
longer, but it's all good because that means that you're still accomplishing things and,
Right.
that is the goal. But, starting out since I was a young girl with my twin sister growing up in Prince George's County, Maryland, um, we went to Oxon Hill High School. We always played sports. My mom, which was great about my parents, is that just being able to expose us to different things, allowing us to find ourselves young, whether that was through sports or Girl Scouts or dance, theater, we were able to try out different things. But it was sports that really stuck with us and gave us the opportunity to shine when we found out how fast we really were. We started out with soccer and then basketball. And by the time we got to high school, everyone was encouraging us to try out for the team. So we did try out for the track team there. And, ever since then, we just been creating memories in that space. We were able to break records in high school, receive scholarships to attend University of South Carolina together. So I had my
Wow.
sister, yes, from a young girl all the way through graduating through college, which is amazing. I went actually decided to take some time off from running and took a 4-year break, focused on my graduate degree and worked in advertising and marketing in New York City for a couple of years before deciding to quit my job and take a risk on some things, have a bit of faith and go after what I said I wanted to do, which was make an Olympic team. And it wasn't going to be easy after taking 4 years off from um, training to say in 2 years you're going to be able to be a part of the 1%.
Right.
So I knew it was a task ahead. I also knew at that point I had come into a place where I understood who I was a lot better. So I knew my motivators. I knew the power that I had within myself. I knew the power of God at that point. And so I held all those things accountable. What the word said, I held it to be true. What I believed about myself, I held it to be true. And I really quit my job and went for it. And then 2 years later, I walked into the Olympic Stadium as one of the 4 women representing USA in the 4x100 meters. We were gold medal favorites. Of course, it was going to be tough with Jamaica, as it always is.
Right.
But in our semifinal, unfortunately, we were disqualified because we dropped the baton. But I did get an opportunity to run. I was second leg, and we dropped the baton between the third and fourth exchange. But nevertheless, it was an opportunity that, looking back on that 2 year journey, it was such a process that I've even, I'm finishing a book on what that process was to actually see something, believe it, and do. and to actualize the things that you really have the vision for yourself. So yeah, I mean, I achieved it. From there, went back into marketing, went back, started Trackgirlz, my nonprofit. So much more we'll talk about over the next few minutes. But I'll just say now, I also just started coaching after I retired from running, and now as the head women's relays coach, I'm able to pour into the women in a space that is a big part of who I am.
So I guess let's go back. You said a lot of stuff, so let's go over
No.
some of that. I know that you left a successful job in corporate America, and listen, I ran track, so just to come back after taking a break and coming back
Yeah.
into that, how did you develop the confidence to leave that area and to take the risk on yourself, like
Yeah.
take the risk on you.
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely a transformation of the mind, as it says in the word. When you transform the way you think, then you can transform your actions. And so that's where it started. When I was in New York City, I had a whole nother plan. I was engaged to be married at the time, and that had fallen through. And I found myself being isolated in a city, not knowing anyone. But I was doing an internship at the time that with one of the top global ad agencies. And if I didn't finish that internship, then I wouldn't graduate that semester from graduate school. So I had some real tough decisions to make, and I decided to, stay there and stick it through. But during that time of isolation is really when I came into the space of understanding who I was, understanding the power of God. I was praying more. I was reading the word more. I was just holding myself accountable. Like, what do you really see for yourself? Like, what do you really want for yourself? Like, who are you? So just identifying the core values that I would really live my daily life against every single day. And so once I was able to identify those things and recognize my power, then I held myself accountable to those things. And that's what's really going to be the difference maker, is like starting and slowing down and identifying what are those drivers that are going to be your daily motivators that are uncompromising. When you wake up
Yeah.
every morning, what are those things that you think about that's going to get you out the bed and moving towards the things you want to do, even when you don't feel like it? So that was the biggest difference, was coming in that space of isolation and just having that understanding of who I was, and just really like pouring into that and building that and feeding those things so I can have the power and the courage and the confidence enough to move forward and the things that I actually start to see for myself.
It's so weird how God puts us in isolation to get us focused.
Oh my gosh. I
And
mean, it was a scary moment. I
right.
had no friends. I just came out of a serious breakup. I was planning a wedding. And it was a serious time of isolation. And when you're in isolation like that, it's going to be a moment of fear that you're going to come. And it's like thresholds. Anytime you come against the threshold, even when you're training, like, with track, you don't want to get back to the line and you don't feel like it. Your body doesn't feel like it. But that's when you got to break through that threshold, break through those glass ceilings to get to the other side and see what's there for you. But it's getting through those moments, feeding those areas that allows you to get through those moments. And then when you break through the other side, it's like, wow, and you don't really get to experience that unless you break through.
So I guess my next question would be like how, and maybe you answered this, but I'm asking it a different way. So how has your faith built your confidence through all you've worked through, and all your accomplishments and all the moments you had and you felt like giving up? Like, what, how did your faith build that up? Like, how did you say, okay, you know what, I want to give up, but something in you, and I'm gonna say the something is faith, said you got to keep going.
Right. Because once it's anything with knowledge and ignorance. Like, once you are made aware of something and you have the knowledge, then you're no longer able to not be held up to those standards.
Right.
And once I started getting into the word and understanding what God was saying and understanding like what I had available to me, infinite amounts of abundance and overflowing opportunity. And, you know, when you believe in me is what God has said in his word, then who shall you fear?
Yeah.
You know, like, so when you are really believing in those words, then you have the power to go out there and make some bold decisions. Now you can go into that space of doing it afraid is what I call it, because you're going to be afraid.
Yeah.
You're going to be scared, but now you're going to have the confidence to push forward and take that step, even though you don't know where that staircase is going to end. So I just kept feeding myself what was feeding that confidence, and that was the word. And so the scripture, like whatever I was against me, I had a word for it. I knew the scripture to speak against it. And that was what was important. So I always tell people, like, whenever you're facing something, you need to feed the areas that you want to grow, and you need to starve the areas that need to die off. And those are habits, you know, those are your thoughts and things like that. What are you listening to every day? What are you reading? What are you discussing with your peer groups and your family? So you have to be very intentional on the things that you're feeding yourself, so that you're building the areas that you want to build. Because when I have to line up to the number one USA 100-meter runner, and it's only 3 spots to make a team, then what's going through my mind on the line for me to get myself across the line and be one of those women to be named to the team, and not get caught up in what I used to get caught up in, like, oh my gosh, this is, oh my gosh, that is, you know, and you think about what they've done, but no, who are you? And that's the confidence you operate in.
So I guess my next question would be, how would you encourage one? Okay, first I always say you don't do life alone. So I know you had the word. Who was that one person that you carried with you and say, you know what, I need to tell you this. I need some encouragement from you. Or maybe you were listening to something. Maybe you were reading a book. Maybe, what was your thing? What was your thing that, I mean, it could have been the Bible. But
yeah, no, it's different things. You know, you need to surround yourself with people. You need to surround yourself with resources. So when it's self-directed, of course, it's reading. You know, it's the Bible. It's going to things that feed your spirit, your soul, to strengthen that space that's going to get you over the top. Operate in that, I call that supernatural, transformative, magical space that you need to operate in. But when it comes to the day-to-day and you need, you know, to bounce things off and get some type of encouragement when you're having it, you have, of course, my mom, who was there when I had to make the call to her and say, hey, Mom, I'm quitting my amazing job on Madison Avenue. Right. To make an Olympic team. You know I haven't run in 4 years, but don't worry about it. I got it. But also, you know, Mom, you know, I've been living in New York City, and I definitely am not saving. You know, I'm 22, and not doing the right things or the best things to make sure that if I want to quit my job, that I have money saved up to do that. So I need your support there too.
Yeah.
You know, so you're having that conversation. So my mom was always somebody who I could depend on from the moment I knew who she was, to this very moment as I sit here, which I'm so grateful for. But my parents have always been that way, supportive. And then my now husband, David, from a day to day, I mean, we have been on the same wavelength as far as our drive and wanting more and living in abundance. And so he was with me. I had just met him literally a month before I moved to North Carolina. And he just happened to live in North Carolina after we met on MySpace, which was randomly, we had a mutual friend. He grew up with my college teammate. And so I met him a month before I moved to North Carolina. He lived about an hour away from where I moved to. And ever since I moved to North Carolina and began that journey of training and 100% focus on this goal, he was there on a day-to-day, just to have that like-mindedness alongside encouragement. when it comes to those moments of what did I just get?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I always have that. And then, of course, my sister,
Right.
we're twins. So she's going to be and know the deepest, darkest, and best parts of me.
So how did all of this going to the Olympics, uh, first telling mom and family, I'm leaving this job. I'm going to go pursue my career in running track and being an Olympian. And to, okay, now I want to inspire other girls to
Yeah.
be their best in track and field, in who they are, pushing them
Yes.
to be better. Your whole journey is basically a testimony for them already. So how did you decide, okay, well, let me open this nonprofit organization called Trackgirlz?
Yes, I've been called a track girl since I was 14 and Oxon
Oh,
Hill through the whole month. I know I gotta invert those numbers now
right,
for
right.
my age, but nevertheless, when I was 14, there go the track girls. The track girl is, just that girl, not only who looked the part, but, is the part. She can
Right.
walk the walk, talk the talk, and has an essence
Mm,
of confidence. And we had track and field has inspired me socially. I have my friend group, to this day, from the sport. But it was so many ways that the sport impacted me, giving me access to higher education, that I just wanted to make sure that I can give that same access and education to girls.
yeah.
When you look up, just at the time, if you look at social media, when I started Track Girls in 2015, the hashtag Track Girls with an S already existed. So the community was there. My marketing side of me wanted to breathe life into it and
Yeah.
create a tangible presence in the sport and in the sports culture. When you think about women in track and field, it's not household names that would just come top of mind.
Right.
When I think about who I was surrounded with, it was so many things they were doing to impact the world historically, culturally, and through sports that I wanted to expose. So I started Trackgirlz. I left my full-time marketing job because after making the Olympic team and running professionally for a couple of years, I went back into marketing and decided to leave that job in 2015 to start Trackgirlz. And it was, it's been my baby ever since. And our
So you
whole goal
went
is,
back to marketing?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
I had to go back to work now. I had to
Right,
go,
right.
yeah. So I went back into
Okay.
marketing. Yeah,
Okay.
I always love marketing. It's who I
Yeah.
am. I've been influenced by the movie Boomerang.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, since I grew up. So I always knew I loved doing that type of thing when it came to trade. I'm a communicator. So yeah, that I'm always going to be a marketer,
Right, right, right.
yeah, but starting Track Girls, I left corporate America officially
Right.
in 2015, and my biggest thing was giving them that direct access to high level athletes and coaches and mentors in the track and field space. So that's what our workshops do. We give performance education, mental and physical tools to help girls with their personal development. And then we're always bringing a track girl, whether that's somebody active, retired, or doing other things in other industries, but the sport affected their lives in some type of way. We've had the CMO of Netflix, Bozeman St. John, come on and talk to our community.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I mean, whether you're active or like an Olympian that's active, or someone that's a CMO, we're always bringing that to our girls. So that's our workshop, is giving them direct access. Of course, we're going to have track and field in there. It's a sport that has foundational movement and
Yeah.
physical activity encouragement just through run, jump, and throw that you can use in everyday functional movement in any sport. So it's good to get them out there. We're not trying to convert all of our girls to track and field, but just use the sport as a gateway to physical activity and movement and access to sport. And then last, our grant program. Our grant program, we've given out $40,000 in 2022 for girls to have direct access to track and field in their local communities. So giving grants to pay for uniforms, plane
Okay.
tickets, equipment, We paid for a girl who had never tried track and field before, and she was unable to walk, and so we paid for her to have a racing wheelchair. So, we've done
Nice.
different things to get girls access, remove any kind of barriers for them to have access to the sport, which is proven to have physical, mental, and social benefits for adolescent girls, which we focus on. Middle and high school girls are our main targets. But of course, our grants can go to girls at the younger ages who may be participating at the grassroots level in track and field. So yeah, I mean, Trackgirlz is definitely a heart source for me. It's going to always be. Right now, I'm the founder, of course, but I serve as the executive director. But I'm moving out of that space to bring
Oh,
somebody in. Yes,
okay. Okay.
yes. So yeah, to continue for us to grow because we're growing, and we need more time, more resources, and so I'm truly grateful for the growth that I've seen and our impact through what we do.
I definitely could see your glow on your face when you talk about Track Girls and
Yes,
everything that comes with it and everybody you have impacted. Um, so I guess I wanted you to know that you are currently making history. You're currently making history. You already made history. You're currently in it in the flesh, like I said before. I said, and if you haven't already, one day some girl, if they haven't already, one day some girl is going to write about you on their projects for school. And do you
yeah.
ever think about how your legacy will be remembered
Yeah,
when they're writing about you?
that's good. And actually really meaningful for me to hear that because I've never thought about that actually. But when I think about my legacy, it makes me come back to the curriculum and my book that I'm working on right now. And with the Track Girls curriculum, I've taken what we teach in the workshops, and it's based on the process of what I went through in those 2 years of being able to figure out who I was and then end up accomplishing something, and how you can create systems for other people to continue to walk through doors and build upon what you started. And so with the core values in the curriculum, it starts out with authenticity. That's what when I was in New York and like finding out what were those motivators for me, what are those drivers for me, and identifying those core values. And then it goes on to vision, seeing what do you see for yourself,
Right.
and holding yourself accountable to who you say you are now, who you are now, and seeing those things for yourself. And then it goes into boldness and not being afraid, what I was talking about, and having the confidence and the courage to press forward, and the faith that press forward when you don't see the end, but you believe in it. And then it goes into commitment and the excellence of it all, your consistency, your daily actions of what you're putting in to get the things that you say you want to go out, to get out. And then it just finishes out with poise. I heard that when I was 14 playing basketball. I would never forget from my basketball coach. He kept saying, poise, poise. And at 14, poise doesn't hit you the way it does in your
Right.
40s. But I get it now. And I try to make sure the girls who I touch understand poise, keeping your grace under pressure. But the only way for you to have poise is for you to be prepared, because you're prepared. You've been reading the things to understand who you are, to understand who your
Yeah.
power is. And so when you're in those moments, you know how to keep your composure because you're prepared and you know what toolbox you have to use that against those moments. But then going into resilience and persistence, and finally ending with legacy. That's what that curriculum process is that I'm hopefully we're piloting it this year for other organizations around the country to be able to offer track girl workshops in their own local communities. But outside of that, with my book too, it's just demonstrating what that process is and taking everyone through it, ending on legacy, which is what I said at the beginning, is creating those systems, those pathways for other people to continue to build upon. And that's what I think about with at this process here is what I want to leave behind. And when I think about Track Girls, that is a major part of that. It's going to be something that girls are going to have to be able to find themselves, like the same way the sport provided for me. It's going to be a pathway for girls to be empowered. It's going to be a pathway for girls to have a vertical influence from mentors, from women who have done it, to be a resource because the biggest thing is access in life, having those access points, being exposed the same way my mother started with me, the same thing that was the foundation of who I am, and keeping that going, because those are the difference makers. So yeah, it's just when I think about legacy, that's where what I end this all on is how this continues, how I'm able to provide the tools and the resources for this continue to scale, continue to build, and give everybody else in the future the tools to do what they want to do, but now have examples of how they can do it.
So you made me so excited. I'm thinking next year my daughter be in first grade and she gets to dress up like someone and I get to look at this person and we get to research about you. And
Yay.
I get to tell her all about you. I get to show her that I did a video and I talked to you and this person you can see her, your hands on. I could tell her so much about you. I'm like excited already and I feel so inspired just sitting here hearing your story and knowing that there are people that my little girl and so many other girls can look up to. It's just so powerful.
Nah,
So I
thank you.
you're welcome. I
Yeah.
just released a podcast about loving yourself fully and how most women and young girls struggle with loving themselves due to insecurities and fear. As a woman who is accomplished and is not loving herself fully, something you have struggled with? And if so, or do you still struggle with, or you've struggled with before, or you overcome? Is that
Yeah.
part of this whole thing? Like, I think we kind of talked about it from the beginning,
Yeah.
how just your whole journey and stuff that you struggled with. And is this a lifetime thing? Do we struggle with trying to
Yeah.
figure out, are we doing the right things? Are we
Yeah.
doing the wrong things?
Yeah. It's
Okay, what's
constant.
next?
Yeah. It's a constant cycle. And so that's what I'll talk about in this process that I share is when you step away from the process, like you got to stick to the process, because there's going to be some things that happen in life that even I've most recently experienced that will get you to the core of pain, get you to the core of fear, and get you to the core of doubt. And you would get to a point of like, what is my breaking point? Because I am strong and I am
Mm-hmm.
confident. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, how much can I bear?
Right.
And but again, it just goes back to the things that you say you believe in, the things that you say that you are. And it's going to be those times where it's going to get heavy. And you're not going to be perfect every time to be able to knock everything down. But you have to understand that it has to be a day that you are going to have to stand up. It is going to have to be a day that you are going to have to press forward,
Yeah.
and never look at a moment. I mean, look at a situation as 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 more than a moment is what I would like to say. Because if you look at it too far in the future, the stress is there. If you look too far in the past, the stress is there. But when you look at the moment and you
Yeah.
stay in the moment, then you can deal with it and you can handle it in that moment. So I just tell you to focus on understanding that you are facing the moment, and stay true to the things that you equip yourself with, and understand that it can be you. It's a lot of times that I look back on my life and I'm like, wow, like, but no, it can be you. Like, you can be one of the fastest women in the world. You can be the person to lead the Olympic team to gold medals. You can be the person to start a nonprofit organization. And it be times that you were like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? But
Yeah.
it can be you. And so that's one of the things I say to myself, like, it can be you. And just understanding that, and recognizing that yes, it really can be you.
So I'm so excited to hear, like you just said maybe 2 seconds ago, that you're writing a book, and I can't wait to read it cover to cover. When you finish the
Yes,
book, listen.
I've been working on this book, and for a while I stepped away from it because it was hard for me to really know. I didn't want to just like tell a story of, oh, I somebody who is drive and be motivated. And I made an Olympic team and the things you got to do for hard work,
Yeah.
because it sounded cliche. But I really wanted to make sure that at a deeper level, people understand how to get the things that you want to achieve, like true behavior change. Like if
Yeah.
you really want to accomplish something, it is attainable, but these are the things that has to be done. It's
Yeah.
uncompromised things that have to be done. So now that I've experienced, pain, joy, failure, success, on all different levels, the Olympic journey relates, and like I said, it's a constant cycle. So it relates to me starting the nonprofit and with that cycle, going through that cycle again, identifying the core, making sure I'm sticking to my core value, making sure I have the boat,
Yeah.
making sure I commit. So, it stays true. It applies to when I became a relay coach. Why her? Why her? And can you do it? And things like that. And again, so the process is about the process in this book and how you can use it and always use it whenever you see something in front of you and the steps that have to be made for you to achieve those things.
Okay. So when you finish the book, you got
Yeah.
to finish it.
I'm finishing this book this
Okay.
year. My husband is
Okay.
not playing with me. He has
Right.
told me about this book, and I was like, I know. But I feel ready. I feel ready for it for sure to finish it and end it the way, like you said, on people understanding what it means to set a legacy up, and let that legacy continue to impact through the years.
Yeah. So when you finish, you got to come back. You got to
Okay.
come back and share your book and talk about it. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready for it. You got to let us know when your release date is so I can put it out and you could
Oh
let
my
us know.
goodness. Look at you holding me accountable.
Right.
Okay. I got it. No, I am going to finish my manuscript. I am going to finish my manuscript this year for sure. And it's going to launch in 2024. I'm
Okay.
saying it now. There we go. There we go.
That was the first step.
That was the first step to actually put it out there. That's the thing on the vision step of the process. Once you have the vision, you got to share it.
Yep.
Because you got to hold yourself accountable and you got to have people who hold yourself accountable.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this was so amazing. I learned so much. I'm so inspired. Even through all my nervousness to interview greatness.
Oh, you were great. You were awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I know you inspired our audience. Is there anything else you want to share where we could find you? What's going on with Trackgirlz? What's going on with everything that you got going on?
Yeah. Well, follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm active, in Twitter. It's at Mechelle Lewis Freeman. I know you'll see my name on here. So just spell it right. My name has been spelled wrong 99% of the time of my life.
Wow.
I know, but it's M-E, Mechelle, not M-I.
Right.
Fair, because my mom did that. But Twitter is Coach Freezy. For nice. Freeman, Coach Freeman. So Coach Freezy, follow me there. But yeah, when you follow me, it'll just be information on, again, how to stay inspired, how to find joy in movement. I do a lot on programs on speed and conditioning, how running translates to health and those things there. And of course, family. My husband is a director of a performance brand called Alpha for Lifetime. And so he has a genuine just dedication to movement and inspiration. So, and our kids, they're a whole nother situation and abundance, joy and energy. And so you'll just follow us and see what we're doing on the family side. Of course, we got World Championships this summer in Budapest, and of course we got Paris next year, 2024 Olympics.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we got to win medals in these relays every summer.
Trackgirlz.
Yes, come on, Trackgirlz. So just continuing to lead the country and bring it back gold medal performances as much as we can over these next few years. So yeah, follow me there, send me questions, and I appreciate this opportunity to be in front of you all.
One more question: where can we donate or give back to your organization?
Yes, I'm glad you said that. Also, you can follow Trackgirlz. Now, Trackgirlz is with a Z. We had to add a little finesse. to the name. So Trackgirlz with a Z. Follow us on Instagram there. And then on our website, trackgirlz.org, you can donate directly on our website. That goes to our programming and goes to our grants. So girls can actually get money to, have access to the sport.
Okay. Awesome. I'm so grateful that I had this opportunity to interview you and talk about your greatness and give you your flowers while you're here. And thank you for doing this with us and making history and being your great self. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
I appreciate you. And you all keep doing what you were doing on your side, creating the platform and just letting the world know the power of God, the power of faith, and just following the things that you believe for yourself. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. We have a lot of great things coming up. So stay tuned. Love you. See you on the next one. Bye, guys. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you got anything from it, please share it with someone you think it will bless. And make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to the J. Christyn Show right here on YouTube. You can download the audio-only version by subscribing to the show on most major podcast platforms. Also, make sure you check out our links in the comments below for more ways to engage with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on the J. Christyn Show.